single okay? I'm not sure. But this one was so good because I could never do what she does. These were like my two favorites of this month. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. Welcome to our March wrap up. I cannot believe that it is already, this is my little Easter pillow, by the way. I'm holding it right here. I cannot believe that it is already the end of March, that we are already having our end of March discussion, because it is just like, I don't know where the time is going in 2024. January felt very long, but February was so fast and March was so fast. I don't know. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually ended up reading 6 books in March, which is, I'm not mad about, because March was a very busy month for me. And the fact that, I mean, I've been averaging like more like 8 or 9 books for the past couple months, but March was super busy for me. And the fact that I still got to read 6 books is pretty good, I think. I have recorded pretty much all the books that we ended up reading this month in a video or two throughout the month. So if you're interested in hearing more about these books after we briefly go through them, you could definitely check out some of those videos. Our first book. I am so happy that I finally got to read this book. I think I ended up giving it like 4.5 stars, but thinking back at it, like, I think about some of the quotes in there so much, I might actually bump up that rating to be, I don't know if it's quite a 5-star, because you never really have to question 5 stars, but I'm probably gonna bump it up to like a 4.75 because I truly love this book. And that was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. It was my first Lynn Painter book, and it's her young adult book that actually the sequel is coming out. I think it's called Nothing Like the Movies. That's gonna be out pretty soon, I'm pretty sure. I was so invested in Wes and Liz's story. This book is also so extremely popular that I am just happy that I finally got a chance to get around to read it and see what all the hype is about, and I definitely understand all the hype. Honestly, just a feel-good comfort YA rom-com. She kind of like makes fun of the fact that the main character, Liz, is obsessed with rom-coms. I did not expect that some of this book was actually quite sad. At some points, there's definitely like a grief trigger warning in this book that Liz is dealing with throughout. I don't know if I should tell you the truth, because I feel like sometimes that is a spoiler. The way that Wes knows Liz so well is just beautiful to me. Liz was quirky, but not like cringy quirky, and Wes was just so sweet with her, and I just highly recommend you read this book. I completely see what the hype is about. The next book we read, I read it on my Kindle and listened to the audiobook, The Teacher by Freida McFadden. Her newest, I think, thriller. It was on Kindle Unlimited. I'm pretty sure all of Freida McFadden's books are on Kindle Unlimited, and it was also on Spotify Premium, so I alternated between listening to the audiobook and reading it on my Kindle. With thrillers, I feel like I can always read them very quickly because I just want to figure out what happens at the end. So I read this book relatively quickly. I really love listening to thriller audiobooks. I feel like it invests me a lot more in the thriller. When I'm just reading a thriller, it can get kind of tedious because even though chapters are short, there's not really a super strong connection that you develop with any of the characters, and I do love that like strong connection that I get with my series that I read and everything like that, my romances, my fantasies. But thrillers are good because they are just fun and addicting to read. It definitely gets me more invested in the characters when I listen to it on an audiobook. That one I think I ended up giving like a 3.75, I would say. So anyway, this book, it's a very taboo topic. It made me feel icky the way that it was handled at the end. There's a few reveals, as is in all Freida McFadden books. The way that they revealed it at the end was just crazy to me, and I was just like questioning what I was reading, like if that I could actually believe anything the characters were telling me. And the final epilogue, where we got like the final reveal, I did not see coming at all, but I feel like it wrapped it up so much, so nicely. If you know, you know. The next book I read was The Goal by Elle Kennedy, the 4th book in the Off-Campus series. I have been slowly making my way through the Off-Campus series. These are the new Bloom covers, and it has the cute little sprayed edges. This tells the story of Sabrina and Tucker. It is a hockey romance. Sabrina was mentioned in previous books because she is actually an academic rival for Dean, who his book was the 3rd book, The Score, and then we have Sabrina in the 4th book, so we kind of already knew about her. And then Tucker is one of the hockey players that lives in the house with all our other main guy characters, so he was mentioned throughout, of course, too. I knew after reading the score that Tucker's book was going to be next, because literally like in the epilogue you get a perfect setup for Tucker's book. If you read the score, then you already know what this book is about, but if you haven't, then I won't tell you. A classic trope that I feel like some people don't love. I think Elle Kennedy did a very good job of it. I think sometimes it was kind of drawn out. I'm being intentionally vague because I don't want to give any spoilers. I don't know, I just didn't care for some of like the in-between stuff. I did really love Tucker and Sabrina's relationship in here. Tucker is portrayed throughout the books as such a dependable character, such a good Southern charm type guy, and Sabrina is described as kind of prickly. She has a lot of pressure on herself to get out of her bad home situation, so they meet up at a bar, things happen, and you know, the story unfolds from there. I loved the way that Tucker was there for Sabrina in this book. Sabrina is such a hard worker, and she was trying to get through law school while this thing was happening, and Tucker was just so sweet with her and wanting to be there for her as much as he could, but she isn't used to accepting help from people, so of course she kind of like pushed back against him, and that's where the natural conflict came in. But I feel like Elle Kennedy did this relationship very well. I ended up giving it, I think, a 3.5 stars. I only have one book left of the off-campus series, The Legacy. It's not on my TBR for April, but it'll be on my TBR soon. Although I will say the one part that bothered me in this, I don't like when, as the reader, you can tell that like these characters are like falling for each other, but they're just not admitting it to each other, when it's just like so obvious. Them not telling each other is just so annoying sometimes. Regardless, I did have a good time reading this book. I am definitely gonna continue the series. The next book, a new release, it is First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. Another mystery thriller. Again, so listen to the audiobook. I love listening to audiobooks for mystery thrillers. It was so addicting. I will say that some of the beginning parts was kind of like very confusing, and I'm like, why are we hearing about this? What does it have to do with the story overall? I should have had trust. Everything comes together in the end. Evie Porter, who has a perfect husband, has the perfect life. The only problem is that Evie Porter does not exist. You'll figure it out pretty early on why this is like the tagline, and I will say it was done so well. Her perfect husband ends up to be hiding some things as well. I really loved how everything that we heard about throughout the years about leading up to this event all led up to the big event, and how everything just clicked together so well. There were a lot of surprises in there that I did not see coming. It was a good thriller where I feel like this is how you do it right, where it's like you have all these like random pieces of information that all connect so well in the end, and it's just so satisfying at the end. I ended up giving that thriller 3.75, which is a very high rating for me for thrillers. I generally don't rate thrillers that high because, again, I feel like you don't really get connected to the characters as much, and it's really just sort of like the mystery that's keeping you there. But this one was so good. The next two books are both Bad Blood and also 12, which is a novella in the back of this book. It's like 120 pages, the novella, in the back of Bad Blood. So I'm gonna include it because it's still like a decent amount of pages. It's still a novella. The last two books in the Natural series, we have Bad Blood by Jennifer Lynn Barnes and then 12 by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. An amazing conclusion to the Natural series. I feel like, even though I think I'm gonna give this book like a 4.5, I think overall it's a 5-star series. I loved the Natural series so much, and I love Jennifer Lynn Barnes' writing. It's a young adult mystery thriller series, and the way that she writes is just so addicting, and you just want to keep reading and seeing what happens. You get connected to the characters, you feel for the characters in these, and like I said, mystery thrillers are weird for me because I feel like when just like one-off mystery thrillers, I don't really connect to the characters, but in like the Inheritance Games and the Naturals, when it's a whole series of a mystery thriller, I definitely connect more to the characters. I ended up loving the 5 kids, the Naturals basically. So what this series is about, if you don't know, is there are 5 teenagers who have natural abilities that help the FBI solve cold cases. You have 2 profilers, you have a natural lie detector, an emotion reader, and a statistician. Just the things that Jennifer Lynn Barnes does in this book is just like mastermind level amazing. Like, I don't know how she comes up with these things, because I could never do what she does. This was just such a fun conclusion to the series. You're building up really from the first book in the series, The Naturals, to the events of Bad Blood. I will say that the reason it is a 4.5 and not a 5 this last book is because I feel like what they were building up to was just kind of wrapped up very quickly. Like, there's a lot of build up, a ton of build up, and you know, it is like they Okay, so my battery just decided to die. I'm not sure what the last thing I said was. I was on such a roll too, and I forget what I was saying. I do feel like there was so much build up for the big like mystery at the end, and I feel like I would have loved a little bit more explanation to it, or just like around that whole thing. It just got a little bit confusing for me towards the end, and that could have been a me problem. I just feel like I would have really appreciated some more talking about that big mystery that we've been working towards since the first book. So that is Bad Blood, and then we have 12, which is the epilogue novella, basically. And I just realized it's called 12, and throughout the book there's like a mystery going on, a new mystery. The teenagers are older and everything like that, and you get short little snippet point of views of each of the naturals when they are 12, and it's called 12, and we're dealing with like a 12-year-old girl as well, so that's why it's called 12, I'm pretty sure. But I really appreciated the small little snippets of the point of views of the other 4 naturals, because we are in Cassie's point of view for the entirety of the natural series, which is good, and I love that. And like, we got to know more of the rest of the naturals backstories throughout reading the book through Cassie's point of view. We know a lot of the characters' backstories very well, kind of just alluded to other characters, and just having their little point of views at the end in 12 was just very helpful to sort of solidify what they dealt with when they were little and everything like that. And it just gave me a real sense of closure for this series, because I really loved this series so much. I think that they did the mystery in 12 so well. This was like a 4-star novella, which is hard to do for novellas. Maybe like a 4.5 star, because I did not see it coming. I did not see the big reveal coming at the end at all. Jennifer Lynn Barnes throws you for a ton of loops throughout this, and I did not figure it out before Cassie did. Such a fun time reading it. It was so addicting, and I really love the Natural series. So I only have 3 of the physical books here, but those are the 6 books that we ended up reading this March. Very good reading month. We had some really good reads. I was in like a very big mystery thriller mood this March, I guess, for some reason, but we definitely got a few good books out of it. I am so excited for our April reading month. We picked some really good books for our monthly TBR, and I'm going to really try to stick to our monthly TBR for the month of April. But those are all the books that I read in March. I recommend that you read them all. They were so good. Especially better than movies and the Natural series, just like these 2. If there are any books that you read in this wrap up, then read Better Than Movies and start the Natural series if you haven't already, because these were like my 2 favorites of this month. That is gonna be it from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.